whenever you're ready.
If you combine wine and dinner, the new word is winner.
Oh, damn. That one's aggressive.
Can you hear me now? Wine takes the edge off adulting. I'm looking for a wine that pairs well with allergy medication.
Yikes.
It's better to
That's
be
sad.
full of wine than full of shit. Should we drink wine? A, yes. B, A. C, B.
Some of these make me really sad. That one's a little funny.
That was funny.
I'm in love with the shape of you, and it's just a bunch of wine glasses, shapes, options. Life is all about the stuff that you have to do between coffee time and wine time. I do yoga to relax. Just kidding. I drink wine in my yoga pants. A
All right.
wine, please. Miss, I'm sorry, but this is McDonald's. Okay, a McWine, please.
So you guys get the picture. Welcome to With That Being Said, a very special Mommy Juice edition. So we have with us our COO of Rue Fitness and Director of Stacked Coaching, Miss Emily Schneller.
What up, y'all?
And reader of wine memes.
Reader of wine memes. We have our content creator and Sizzle Stacked coach,
Boom.
Sarah Altabello.
Sizzle stack coach.
And-
the
Ooh, that's
bracelet.
my hashtag.
That's your bracelet.
I need a bracelet. I feel really left out.
I am also a Stacked coach, but the mayor of Rouville, Bradley Schneller. I'm happy to be here today, y'all.
You've had that one now 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, we're just gonna stick
awesome.
with it.
It's a good one.
I feel like I do it best. So, Emily's still looking at wine memes.
This is very entertaining. I'm listening.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
into the
talking
mic.
loud.
I can see the lights. So, hey y'all. Today we are talking about a problem that a lot of people deal with, or one that we see often, not only with our nutrition clients, but with people in the gym. I feel like it's a big part of the gym too.
I feel like
Less
it's
so now today than it was maybe 2 years ago.
100%.
I feel like it's a big part of New Orleans culture, period, but also like culture, like United States culture as well.
Yeah, big in the U.S., big in Louisiana with football. I mean, we get kind of proud to the point where it's scary when LSU travels and cleans a town out of all of their alcohol, right? Like that makes national news.
I used to be like, I until a couple of years ago, I mean, I am really cognizant of me being proud of drinking, which is bizarre. I was never like an alcoholic. I never, it never got in the way of any of my responsibilities, but I was 100% like, oh, this is how much I drink. What'd you do this weekend? I drank this day and this day. I woke up at 8 and started drinking for this. You know, like it was just.
There's like a level of pride at how much liquor you can hold and how well you can hold it and what all the things you can do after you've had 4 drinks.
Now my level of pride is how much magnesium I can take with a melatonin CBD gummy to find the right dose to be totally knocked out without some type of hangover in the morning.
My, how times have changed.
It's like 300 milligrams of magnesium.
If you're wondering for Bradley's cocktail,
Before we start, I just want to be super real about our own approach to alcohol. Like, none of us are sober. I mean, if you listen to Bradley's other podcast, they're literally drinking on air. So I don't want to come at this with like, you know, holier than thou, what we do is the best. But it is definitely a problem that we see a lot. And hopefully this podcast will give people a new kind of lens to look at their own alcohol consumption, be honest with themselves about their alcohol consumption related to the goals that they have for their bodies, and strategies on how to change it to make those things more in line.
So from both of your experiences, and this will be female-centered podcast today, but there's plenty of lessons for the dudes as well. But with that being said, with
Drink
Drink your water. Cheers.
smart water. But with your experience with clients being in the gym, okay, why is alcohol consumption a problem specifically related to what we do?
Well, if your goals are centered around weight loss, for one, that is a source of a lot of empty calories that are not doing anything for you from a nutritional standpoint. So just reducing your, like, I have some clients, if they cut out drinking, like that, the calories that it would save, like they wouldn't have to do a whole lot differently in terms of the food that they're consuming. But the caloric standpoint is just, you can't overlook it. So that would be number one.
Yeah.
Sarah, from fitness related, maybe?
I mean, I have a client right now. She has cut out drinking to maybe 1 day a week. And she finds herself showing up so differently at the gym because of how her body feels. So, I mean, we could get into all of the science now that like all of the three of us have at least worn a Whoop, but it affects your heart rate variability. And basically, like, without going into what it is, the higher it is, kind of the more ready your body is for exercise. And alcohol not only lowers that, but we've seen someone else who has a Whoop. He says when he drinks, it might take 2 or 3 days for his heart rate variability to recover. So his body is not prepared for the intense exercise immediately after. On top of that, you're not sleeping as well. Even though a lot of us think like these 2 glasses of wine will knock me out.
Yeah.
You're not getting quality sleep.
It keeps you from getting into a REM cycle.
Yes. And then on top of it, I would venture to say that when you are drinking alcohol, whatever it may be, you are drinking less water. So not only is the alcohol dehydrating you, but the fact that you're drinking less water is dehydrating you as well. And all of those factors affect how you show up in the gym regularly.
One of the memes that I didn't read on air was like, people struggle so much to get 8 glasses of water a day because that's what you're like supposed to get. And then it was a cut to this girl that had like 4 cups of coffee and 4 glasses of wine. And we're like, easy. I can do that in my sleep.
There it is.
I mean, look, we laugh because I think all 3 of us up here, maybe not Emily, Sarah and I definitely can throw it back with the best of them. Okay, like we all.
Oh, not me.
Yeah, not you.
I
But
will say I'm a significantly cheaper drunk these days
Yeah,
because I do
definitely.
not drink as much.
I mean, and there are some holidays that I am better at drinking than other holidays. For example, every Saturday in between September and December, and Mardi Gras. So, but I bring my A game on those days. But I think the problem that we're talking about is the habitual nature of it, right? The daily intake and maybe 5 times a week intake. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, I think because of the habitual nature, like if I drink and if let's say I have like 4 glasses of wine a night, I can feel a big difference in my sleep, in the way I show up the next day. Like my stomach isn't upset. I don't want to eat nutritious foods because all you want are like crackers and you have that sick feeling, right? But for somebody that does it every day, like their body is used to that. So they don't feel that dramatic shift in the way that they feel. And that can work against you in your body is not signaling that like something isn't right here. You know what I mean?
I want to throw this back. Emily, can you give us the calculation? If you're at a caloric equilibrium for the day, you're maintaining, you're not gaining weight, you're not losing weight, okay? In order to lose weight, how many calories less do you need to eat per day in order to lose 1 pound per week?
Okay, this is quick and dirty math, but 1 pound of like fat is associated with 3,500 calories. So if you want to lose a pound of fat a week, which is considered healthy weight loss, you need to like scale back on your calories by 500 every single day.
Yeah. So to give you an example, all right, the average 5-ounce pour of red wine, because I did this recently, is about 31 carbs. Okay. 4 calories per carb, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is 124 calories per glass of red wine. So you have 3 of those.
And that's also under the assumption that you're measuring
Right.
Yeah.
that
Right.
glass out.
Right.
I'd
Exactly.
like to point that out.
So if you have 2 though, you're at 250 in just wine, and
Yeah.
like now you really have to eat 750 calories
Yeah.
less, which is my entire lunch today.
Yeah.
That's significantly less.
So like the opposite approach would be if you're having 2 glasses of wine every day, you know, you're adding roughly 1,500 calories to your weekly consumption.
Yeah. It's
And
huge. And I don't think people think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, I always like to do the math on it because when you do the math on it and you throw it out there in black and white, it's like pretty apparent how terrible it is in terms of you trying to accomplish your nutrition or weight loss goals.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And especially someone who is trying to lose weight and lose fat. For so many of us, when we go into a caloric deficit, it's hard. Like we have less energy. It takes adjusting to. And if you're going into a deficit and eating a lot less food to accommodate the wine you would like to drink, I'm going to bet you're feeling even worse.
Yeah. So we were talking before the podcast a little bit about why do we think that wine consumption, particularly in women, or not wine, but alcohol consumption, particularly in women, is
Particularly wine, though, too.
yeah, particularly wine. But why is it amped up so much now? And look, I'm going to give everybody a hard pass on quarantine and COVID, okay, because that was some crazy shit. But this was happening long before that. So, why are some of the reasons do you think that this is in our culture? And you know, what's going on there? Let's talk a little bit about that.
I think that what we are seeing with like social media and, you know, the memes that I just read and things that are constantly put in front of us, I think that it's easy to just assume that everybody's doing it. So why
Right.
not me? Like,
It's like
you know,
being part of the club, right?
yeah, it's like being part of the club, and you see your friends on Instagram or whatever, or you see all these memes that are, I mean, they're not advertising anything. They're just meant to be funny, but it just normalizes it and it makes you want to be part of the club.
Right.
Yeah.
Hashtags rose all day.
Yeah. I never heard rosé all day until a few years ago. Taking a step back, I did read some studies that I like have to throw out. I think it was the CDC said that from like 2006 to 2012 or 2013, moms went from like 17% of them saying they were binge drinking once a week to like 32%. And then non-moms went from like 26% to 44% of women that were not moms saying they were binge drinking at least once a week. I was telling Bradley before we sat down, I read a really interesting article. It's kind of like Mad Men. And with the resurgence, especially I feel like in the last 3-4 years, with the conversation about feminism opening wide open and women getting equal treatment and equal rights, equal pay, there is this need to be one of the guys. And I read about this woman who was really high up at her company, and it was important to her when the men were going out for drinks to not only show up, but show that she could hold her own. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to hold your own with guys that drink all the time, you have to drink all the time as well.
I mean, I felt like that in not all of my circles of friends, but I had to remove myself from a group text of mothers for in large part due to the fact that like somebody would say that they had a bad day or they had something frustrating happen with their child, and all of the responses were wine emojis. And I was just like, whoa, like that is people's first response. It's not even like, I hear you, let me know if you need anything. Like, it's just wine, cover up the problem. Motherhood is stressful, drink some wine.
Yeah.
That's all how we deal with it. And I just didn't like that.
Well, from a health
interaction.
perspective, it's not very healthy.
No.
No, and even as someone that doesn't have kids, with my friends, it's whenever two or more of us are getting together, the assumption is that one of us is responsible for the wine. When someone has a success at work, or maybe like loses their job, or wants to celebrate, or is stressed out about something, the assumption is that one of you will always be responsible for providing the liquor for the get together.
In time, what I noticed you said there, it's in times of celebration and despair.
Yeah.
It's like both.
It's
Wine fixes it or helps.
yeah.
Yeah, we went to. I feel like for the longest time it's been a social thing, right? And that's just kind of been amped up. But what that does do is when you're, ordering wine with every restaurant meal or beer or whatever, it becomes a habit. Like, for instance, we as a family went to a boulangerie for lunch, and I didn't really want a beer because
I did not want that beer at all.
Yeah,
You
I didn't
ordered
want it
for
at
me.
all. I
drank,
ordered
like,
it anyway.
A fourth of it, and I'm like,
I
good.
drank half, and I was like, well, F it. Like, I'm not drinking the rest because in my head, like, I was already eating a lot of carbs with everything we were having.
It's like brunch. Where's the alcohol?
Right. And I was like, I was kind of annoyed that I ordered that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But it was like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Right? It's weird.
I love, though, that you recognize that. And I also love that you recognized it while you were doing it and didn't drink the whole thing.
Yeah, I
like
wasn't.
you're like, I don't want this. Why am I drinking it? Like, you didn't justify it because you had paid for it, or it just wasn't doing it for you. But
Right.
I love that you recognize that.
Yeah, we have all of these cultural, like, learned behaviors around food, right? Like, breakfast has to be a certain thing, lunch should look like this, dinner should look like this, and if you're going to drink, it should be with dinner. And this idea for a lot of people, on the weekends, you relax, you unwind, you go out to eat, you bust open the wine, like, whatever, but it's not necessary. Like, not wine or alcohol related. I had a nutrition client one time ask me if it was okay that she had chicken and veggies for breakfast because she doesn't like eggs. And I was like, yeah, whoever told you you had to eat eggs for breakfast? But it's the same thing. Like, we have these learned behaviors, and this is how you act on the weekends, and it's different from the rest of the week.
Look, I can't say this enough. My behavior on this subject has completely changed over the course of 2 or 3 years. So I don't want to act like here I am sitting up here telling everyone, that I've never done this. That was me.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to help others by bringing this up and then talking about how much this gets in the way of reaching your goals,
Your potential.
your potential, your goals, a lot. So
Right. And it's all cyclical, right? It's all connected. So we usually go to the gym or start seeing a nutrition coach or change our nutrition because we don't like our body. And when we don't like our body, it causes stress. And so often our response to stress in this country is to drink. The more we drink, the less progress we will see in the gym,
Right.
the more stress we will feel in terms of our body and our lack of results.
Snowball effect.
So you start drinking more.
And then you don't feel good, and then you don't go to the gym the next day, and then you eat like crap because you don't feel good, and it is a snowball habit for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
It goes and goes.
So that's basically the problem in a nutshell. What are some solutions?
Number one, I think curiosity is always a good place to start. I have a client that I noticed a habit with alcohol, and I just asked the question, hey, I noticed this, like, tell me more. can you pinpoint like a time in your life where this started? Is this a new habit, or is this something that you've had for a while? You know, is there something that prompted it? Maybe it's a stressful job, maybe it's motherhood, maybe it's whatever, like a stressful relationship. Get curious about, when did it start? What problem do I feel like it's helping me solve? Is it helping me solve that problem or not? You know what I
Right.
mean? I think
it's. I want to harp on that for a little bit,
Yeah.
because when you talk about is it helping that problem, you're talking about people who go home and they drink because they're stressed out and helps them unwind. The particular problem I see with that is people who do that, they start to stack up days, which stacks up the habit, then becomes a habit. Now, every time you eat dinner or you get home from work, you need to have 2 glasses of wine because that is what you do.
Yeah.
So now it's not because you stressed
Yep.
out. It's because it is muscle memory and it is a habit.
And
Yeah.
that's what I found out with this client. Like, the habit started in response to a stressful thing happening in her life, but the stressful thing isn't happening anymore, but she kept the habit.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I had a very similar approach with one of my clients, like Emily did, and not to go back and sound stereotypical, but she is a mom and she was having wine 5 to 7 days a week. So all I asked her to do is I said, I'm not telling you not to drink it. I said, don't drink it. If you can skip a day, do it and tell me what goes on in your head. Or don't drink it at your normal time. Like, wait like 30 minutes and see what comes up. And she realized it was as soon as she got the kids home for the day, she opened the wine, like she got the kids a snack, and that was her snack. It was her reward
Yeah.
for getting everyone through the day and getting them home in one
I
piece.
think that's beautiful because there was what you said there. Wait 30 minutes because
Yes,
there was a
just
moment
wait.
this week I wanted to have a drink with dinner. I made dinner and I'm like, I'm counting today. I don't really want to jack up my macros, right? So I just didn't have it. When I was done dinner, I didn't want it.
Yeah.
So if you can just say like, I'm going to push back this glass till after dinner. If I still want it after this dinner, maybe I'll have it. Then okay. That's a place to start.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk more about tips for kind of getting away from it altogether. But in terms of drinking less, I like waiting anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes, depending on how much someone drinks. And I usually tell them if you get past that and you're still, like if your thoughts are still consumed with it, you are causing more stress than it's worth. So
Right.
have the glass.
You're right.
But then drink water. I don't want you to mindlessly pour a second one. Again, start that process over. You finished your glass,
Wait.
do it all over again.
Yeah.
Wait that time, have some water, and then see where your thoughts take you.
Yeah. It goes back to like the habit cycle and like Atomic Habits and the power of habits. And like in your example, you identified the trigger, you identified the reward. Well, what can you do in the middle that achieves the same reward but has a different behavior that is more supportive of your goals? And what that is different for everybody. But going through that exercise, understanding the trigger, understanding the reward. Okay, now let's get creative with how we change that behavior.
Yeah, I think now that we've said it out there, it's in the podcast that, a 5-ounce pour is 124 calories. I think that'll stick in some people's heads. I just want everyone here to know a 5-ounce pour is about a third of a glass of a Pinot glass or a Cabernet glass. It's not half. It's not 3/4 of a glass.
Yeah.
It's a lot smaller than you think.
Yeah, I think all of it is really hard as well. I see it a lot with nutrition, but before I kind of tapped into my own nutrition, I saw it a lot with drinking where people get really self-conscious if you choose not to drink, and they think
Yes.
your choice is a reflection on them, and that by you not drinking, you are judging them for drinking. And so often we cave to appease other people so they don't feel left out.
Yeah. I think in terms of reduction or getting away from it altogether is just making the jump to sparkling water is huge. Drinking your sparkling water out of a wine glass is always fancy, but
Or
I think that's a big
when you
thing.
go out, get your sparkling water with a lime in it, and
Yeah.
people won't even think twice about what you're drinking. If you're not comfortable just saying no and dealing with those questions.
I mean, we just recently went to the beach, and
We drank way less.
Emily in years past would absolutely bring some like White Claw and Trulies and put it in my Yeti and drink it on the beach. And we didn't do that we didn't drink on the beach at all. I just put sparkling water in my
Yeah.
Yeti, and nobody knew that I wasn't drinking.
Well, we
and
went. I think it was the first time we went with the
It
board.
was so empowering, wasn't it?
It was. When we went with the
this
board.
trigger of being on the beach doesn't have to mean that I drink. And what happens if I don't?
And
Yeah.
when we
I
went,
feel great.
when we went with the Boers and the Burks, I remember I was on the beach and I brought out some White Claws or whatever I had, whatever spiked seltzer I had. And I drank one, and then I started to drink the second one, and I'm like, why am I drinking this? I don't like it. Like, it doesn't taste good. Like, I'm just drinking to get drunk. A, my kids are here, you know, and B, I don't need it. It's hot. Like,
Yeah.
I look super sexy right now. Like, I don't want to fill up with all these empty calories.
Yeah.
And so I didn't drink. Now, later on in the
When
week,
we were having a nice bottle of wine
but
at
no,
dinner.
what I was going to say though is like we went and got some beer and I drank some beer later on.
Yeah.
But my point is like I feel like with a lot of those spiked seltzers. By the way, just so you know, like if a 90 calorie beer and a 90 calorie spiked seltzer is the same
Yeah.
in terms of grams of carbs, okay?
Well, not always, but
Not always.
in terms of how you should measure it.
And how you should measure it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're drinking White Claws to get drunk, that's different than drinking because you enjoy something. So that's my other tip, right? Is drink to enjoy it. You know, like we talked about this before the podcast. I don't buy shitty wine. I kind of have a rule against it. I don't buy now. I've even upped it to anything under like $14, $15 a bottle, which you might think I'm bougie, but I don't buy that much wine because when I drink it,
wanna
I
get
need to
quality
Sip
stuff.
it. You enjoy it.
I need to justify the caloric content of my wine, right? And so it better taste awesome. Because if it doesn't taste awesome, I'm pouring it out.
I mean,
Yeah.
we do that with everything though. Like we'll eat cookies, but it better be like a hot, cookie from District that's delicious,
Well, and
not just like some supermarket cookie, Chips Ahoy, whatever.
And we've said before, I've used the example of telling clients you can have ice cream, just don't keep the crappy ice cream in your freezer. Make yourself go get good ice cream.
Awesome ice cream.
And I mean, for me, I've noticed a huge difference, specifically like the last 3 years. If you could like chart my alcohol consumption over Mardi Gras, it is like gone down like crazy.
Me too.
And I would venture to say that on a day-to-day basis, I mean, I maybe drink 2 or 3 days out of that whole like 5-6 day stretch. And Ryan and I will go to the grocery. We will pick out a local, really fun beer we've never had. We will get 1 6-pack, and that'll last all day and sometimes 2 days. I realized at the holidays, something I was doing is like, I know y'all know you will go through like a day where you have like 3 or 4 holiday engagements all
Right.
on the same day. And I was realizing,
You particularly.
me in particular, 2 or 3 years ago, I realized like I couldn't eat at every function, even though everyone had food. But to make the host feel like I was comfortable there, I would always drink. And similar to what you just said, oftentimes it was kind of crappy wine because they had a really big party and they were
Right.
trying to have it for everyone. And I would just drink to be like, oh, thank you for having me here. Look, I'm enjoying myself. And I would end up drinking like a bottle of wine a day, like easy,
Yeah.
just going from house to house.
I think that brings up a good point though, just in general. Sometimes when you have big goals or you're trying to do something very different, like dare to be different. Dare like challenge what is normal to you, and like if bringing a food scale over to a friend's house for dinner, like dare to just be different. Dare to say no thank you, I'm not drinking tonight, and see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, and look, your friends are probably going to give you shit, and that's okay, but grow a thick skin. It's okay. I fully expect my friends to give me shit when I do weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
not weird to me. So.
Well, I've said this quote before, and if you follow me on social media, you've seen it, but replace fear of the unknown with curiosity. See what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, truly.
Sponsored by
Sponsored by
this podcast.
Truly.
Sponsored by Truly.
And their new 60-calorie Truly. No. I really feel like when people start to conquer this or get better at it, they have the option to be, or success for them would look like, not having it be muscle memory, right? Like we're not here to try to tell people to not turn it away when you're out at a restaurant or with people at a party. It's the everyday habitual muscle memory stuff that we are saying is causing a problem for your goals.
Yeah, I think it's implied, but it needs to be very specifically stated. So we talk so much about how you can see such significant improvements with your nutrition by just being intentional.
Yes.
And slowing down and looking at the choices, but you have to do the same with your drinking as well. And I think people, I mean, when you break it down, it's all calories, it's all macros, but you have to break it down into two separate entities.
Absolutely. So, anything to add?
Like, are we wrapping up? Or?
Yeah.
So get curious, I think is great. Understand like triggers and wait 30 minutes, see what happens. I think that also like having other coping mechanisms in your back pocket and tools that you can draw from in response to stress, because that is where we see it a lot, is that it's a stress response. Like what else can you do to manage your stress? Deep breathing, meditation, like take a cold shower, do something self-care related. Like you have to brainstorm about what is actually going to help you deal with the stress. Therapy, deal with the stress in a way that also supports your goals and doesn't end up causing you more stress.
I love it.
My other thing is you have to be ready, willing, and able to change. I have that question a lot. Like I'll notice something happening with somebody and a client will be like, don't touch my wine. Like there's probably other things that you can be doing to move you closer to your goal without having to touch that aspect yet. You have to make the decision though to be ready, willing, and able to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And say it out loud.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. What's your favorite Waterloo flavor?
Favorite Waterloo? I go between the black cherry and the coconut.
I love the coconut.
Cherry.
Yeah, black cherry.
We got peach.
We just got peach. I just put 8 of them in the fridge tonight, so that's what we'll be having for dinner. Some peach Waterloos. Check that out. I'm the weird one. I love the watermelon. It's my favorite.
I really
love
like the
watermelon.
watermelon.
Vivian likes that one too.
I
I don't
think
like
it's
watermelon,
great.
period.
I also love the grape one, which I know sounds crazy.
I
but
like
the
grape,
grape
too.
one is good, and I love the coconut.
If you-
And for those of you who struggle with sparkling water, just so you know, think of Waterloo as the bougie version of LaCroix.
Yeah,
It tastes better. It just does.
It does taste
it
better.
does.
It's my favorite.
I will take a moment and take the crown for bougiest for just this moment when I make this statement.
I can't wait.
You're
Yeah.
taking a crown for bouginess from
Just-
Bradley.
for about 5 seconds, then I'm sure he'll find a way to take it back. He always does. My father-in-law has a job where he has access to a lot of beverages. I mean, anything from water to Coca-Cola to Gatorade, whatever. He dropped off a ton of LaCroix at our house, and I couldn't help but be a little disappointed that it wasn't Waterloo. But the free fizzy drinks were not the free fizzy drinks I wanted.
I totally get that. That's ever since that thing came out with like Beatles anus juice or something like that. I forgot what it was. I was like,
Yeah,
I could,
LaCroix stock tanked because everybody was sharing
Yeah,
something gross that was in
I
it.
felt like I could start tasting it. And I've just been kind of. There's
All right,
only
there
a
you go. You took it back.
couple flavors that.
I told
All
you to
right,
find
y'all.
a way.
Please comment below with your favorite Waterloo flavor. We're not sponsored by Waterloo, but if they want to be a sponsor, we will accept.
Always accepting.
Like, share, and subscribe. We're looking for 5-star ratings. Only nice things to say, folks. We love it when you tell other people about our podcast. So
We should start reading reviews on air.
Oh, we should. We'll do that next. So leave a good one after this. Y'all jacked up my mommy juice.
Oh, God.
Now that's all I can think about now. That's what it's going to be. 1-star review. This
our
podcast sucked. Move back to Canada. Something like that, probably. I don't know what that is.
Back to
What?
I don't
Canada.
know. I don't know.
We need to
Canada.
wrap
Anyway,
Oh, you're
people-
trying to offend people.
people
that
are
don't
not
need to be
gonna, like-
offended right now.
People are going to miss the last 2 minutes when I say all this fun stuff. All right, y'all. Peace out.
Bye.